This strange looking metal box is actually the rear seat tray for my cafe racer build. You can check out my previous video if you want to see why it's made like this. The job today is to fabricate and design a seat latch. I want it to be easy to open and close the seat using a key lock. Hopefully there will be some space available for storage under the seat, and when leaving the bike I want to be able to secure the helmet by putting the strap under the seat. Okay, the seat has 4 bolts under it at the rear end, so there is where I want to put the locking mechanism. I will use a bracket at the front part and just slide the seat forward into the front bracket and lower it onto the lock. It's quite difficult to measure the exact height on the rear lock, so I figured it was best to make it adjustable. I found this large nut to use, and the plan is to weld it to the steel plate I have prepared and modify the bolt so it becomes a stem to be screwed into the nut. The stem will have a cutout that goes into the spring-loaded mechanism and a wire attached to it for releasing the lock. Let me try to visualize how it all is supposed to work. The lock will be mounted onto the tray and the stem underneath the seat. Perhaps better to explain this with some drawings. This is a picture of the bike as it is right now. And here is the seat tray. It is of course inside of the frame hoop and under the tank, but for simplicity I've just put it in the front here. Let me slap on the seat and zoom in. To remove the seat, it will have to be lifted at the rear end first and then slided backwards and up. I will mount a bracket at the front part of the seat tray and a bracket on the front part of the seat. The stem will be mounted at the rear part of the seat. Attaching the seat will happen in 2 steps, front part first and then lowered at the rear part. Let's get a bit closer so I can show you how I will build the most complex part of the lock. I will create an arm from 2mm sheet metal that will go into the cut in the stem, shown in purple color here. The black arrow illustrates the wire that will go to a key lock somewhere under the tank. Here is the metal spring that will push the arm into the locked position. By pulling the wire, the lock will be released and the seat can be lifted. The spring will pull the lock back, and it will just be to press the seat down to lock it. And that was the theory, and now back to real life. It's time to do some fabrication. This is the latch bar that will avoid the stem to move when it's in the locked position. Here I'm connecting the inner wire to it, and I will soon show how it's intended to work. I now need to create a box around it so I can have the latch bar rotate on an axle, while the outer wire cable needs to be held in place. At this point in the project, I was done with all the parts for the locking mechanism, and it was time for the final assembly. The metal spring sits in between of the latch bar and the mounting for the wire outer cable, and presses the latch to locked position when not pulling on the wire. It was quite pleasant to see it all worked as planned. The hole on top of the box is where the stem enters, and it will slide over the latch bar inside and snap into place. The next job is then to weld some mounting screws on the seat tray for holding the lock, and creating the front bracket, and also some support for the seat. And at last put it all to test on the bike. Here are the brackets supporting the seat, including a bar across it for improving the strength. Let me show you all the parts from rear to front. Here are the middle seat support, and there is the front part of the tray with all the new modifications. At the front, the seat will be held down by the new front seat bracket attached to the tank mount.